believe in God. He is always there for you. Let me tell you all something. Life ain't always going to be smooth. You're going to hit some bumps, face some storms, and feel like the whole world is crashing down on you. That's life. But here's the thing, God is always there. He's not just there when you're celebrating. He's there when you're crying, when you're struggling, and when you're just trying to hold it all together. See, too many people think God only shows up when life is perfect. But let me remind you of something. God doesn't abandon you when you're in the valley. In fact, that's where he's closest. That's where he's holding you up, even when you don't feel it. Faith is your foundation. Build it strong. Stand tall. Listen, life is unpredictable. One moment you're flying high, everything's falling into place, and the next you're facing a storm you never saw coming. That's just how life works. But let me tell you something. The only thing that will keep you standing when the winds start blowing and the ground feels like it's shaking beneath you is your foundation. And that foundation is faith. Faith is what holds you steady when nothing else makes sense. It's not about having all the answers. It's about trusting that there's a bigger plan, even when all you can see is chaos. You can't build a strong life without a strong foundation, and you can't have a strong foundation without faith. Now, some of y'all might say, I've got skills, I've got money, I've got connections, and that's fine. But let me ask you this, what happens when the skills don't work? What happens when the money runs out? What happens when the people you thought had your back disappear? That's when you realize those things aren't your foundation. They're just extras. The real strength comes from believing in something bigger than yourself. Faith isn't just about sitting in a church or reciting prayers. Faith is about action. It's about saying, even though I can't see how this is going to work out, I'm still going to keep moving forward. It's about waking up every morning and choosing to believe that God has a purpose for your life, even if you don't understand it yet. Think about a house. If the foundation is shaky, it doesn't matter how beautiful the walls are or how fancy the roof looks when the storm comes, it's all coming down. Your life works the same way. Faith is what keeps you grounded, what keeps you strong when life throws everything it's got at you. And here's the thing, faith isn't just about you. It's about the people who are watching you. Your kids, your family, your friends are all looking to see how you handle life's challenges. When they see you standing firm, not because everything's perfect, but because you've got faith that's powerful. That's what inspires people. Faith doesn't mean you won't have doubts. Faith doesn't mean you won't be scared. But it does mean you'll keep going, even when it feels like the world is against you. It's not about the size of the storm. It's about the strength of your foundation. You're never alone. God's got your back. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're out there fighting this battle of life all by yourself? Like you're the only one carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's a lonely feeling, isn't it? But here's what I want you to hear today. You're never alone. Never. Not for 1 second. See, the enemy wants you to believe you're isolated, that no one cares, and that even God has turned his back on you. But let me tell you something about the God I know. He never leaves his children. He never walks away, even when you feel like you're lowest. When life gets tough, and believe me, when you start looking around for somebody to lean on. But sometimes people aren't there. Friends get busy. Family might not understand. And you start asking yourself, why am I doing this alone? That's when you've got to remember God is still with you. He's been there all along. Think about it. You didn't make it this far by yourself. Those moments when you thought you couldn't take another step, but somehow did. That was God. Those days when you cried yourself to sleep, but you still woke up the next morning with enough strength to face the day, that was God. God doesn't always show up in the way you expect. Sometimes he's that little voice in your heart telling you to keep going. Sometimes he's the unexpected kindness from a stranger or a phone call from someone you needed to hear from. And sometimes he's just a quiet presence reminding you that you're not walking through this life on your own. But here's the thing, God isn't just walking beside you. Oh no, he's walking ahead of you, clearing paths you didn't even know were blocked. He's behind you, catching you when you fall. And he's holding you up, even when you feel like you're sinking. You might feel lonely sometimes, but feeling lonely and being alone are two different things. Loneliness is an emotion, being alone is a condition. And let me remind you, with God, you are never alone. That's not just a promise, it's a fact. You've got to trust that He's working even in the silence. Those quiet moments when it feels like your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling, don't be fooled. God hears every word. He sees every tear, and He's moving on your behalf, even when you can't see it. God's timing is perfect. Wait for it, trust it, live it. Let me tell you something, there's nothing harder than waiting. Waiting on an opportunity, waiting on a breakthrough, waiting on something to change. You're sitting there thinking, I've done the work, I've prayed the prayers, so where is it? Why isn't it happening? But let me tell you this, God's timing is perfect. Not early, not late, perfect. Now, I know it's hard to see when you're in the middle of the storm. You're out here grinding, hustling, doing everything you know how to do, and it feels like you're getting nowhere. But here's the truth. God ain't in a rush. He's not working on your schedule. He's working on His. And His timing, oh, it's better than anything you could ever imagine. Think about it. Sometimes we're so busy chasing what we want that we don't realize God is holding it back because He knows we're not ready. It's like giving a kid the keys to a car before they know how to drive. It's not a blessing, it's a disaster. God's delays aren't His denials. They're days' way of preparing you for the blessing He's got waiting for you. Here's the thing, waiting isn't wasted time. Waiting is where God does His best work. He's building you, strengthening you, teaching you lessons you're going to need when that blessing finally shows up. See, if He gave it to you too soon, you wouldn't know what to do with it. You might fumble it, you might lose it. But when it comes at the right time, when you're ready for it, oh man, it's going to blow your mind. God's timing doesn't always make sense in the moment. You might be looking at somebody else's life, thinking, why them? Why not me? But listen, you don't know what they've been through. You don't know their journey, their struggles. Stop comparing your chapter 5 to someone else's chapter 20. God's got your story, and it's unfolding exactly the way it's supposed to. Let me put it like this, life is like a puzzle. You're holding a piece, and it doesn't make sense on its own. But God's got the whole picture. He's putting the pieces together one by one, and when it all comes together, you're going to see that His timing was perfect all along. Every struggle has a purpose. Your pain is preparing you. Now, listen to me. Nobody likes to struggle. Struggles hurt. They're messy. They're exhausting. And sometimes they make you question everything. But let me tell you something. Every single struggle you face in life has a purpose. Yes, every one of them. That pain you're feeling, that mountain you're climbing, it's not for nothing. It's shaping you into who you're meant to be. See, we live in a world where people want everything easy. They want success without sacrifice, growth without pain, blessings without battles. But let me tell you, life doesn't work like that. You don't get stronger by staying comfortable. You grow through the hard stuff, through the tears, through the moments when you feel like giving up. Think about this, when a potter makes a masterpiece, they don't just slap some clay on the table and call it a day. No, they press it, shape it, mold it. And sometimes they put it in the fire. Why? Because the fire is what makes it strong. That's what your struggles are doing for you. They're refining you, preparing you for what's next. I know it's hard to see the purpose in the middle of the pain. You're sitting there asking, why me, Lord? Why now? But let me flip that question for you, why not you? Why wouldn't God trust you with this struggle, knowing that you've got what it takes to overcome it? He sees something in you that you might not see in yourself yet. Let me make it real for you. Every struggle you've been through has taught you something. Maybe it taught you patience. Maybe it taught you resilience. Maybe it taught you how to trust in God when everything else failed. Whatever it is, that struggle wasn't wasted. It was part of your preparation. And let me tell you, when you come out on the other side, you're not just going to be stronger, you're going to be wiser, tougher, and more grateful for the blessings that come your way. Because when you fought for something, when you struggled and sacrificed, you appreciate it so much more. Here's what you need to understand. Struggles don't mean God has forgotten you. They mean He's building you. He's setting you up for something bigger, something better than you could ever imagine. You might not see it now, but one day you're going to look back and say, that struggle was the best thing that ever happened to me. Trust the process. Your journey is leading somewhere great. Now, let's get real for a second. Everybody loves the idea of success, of getting to the top, of seeing their dreams come true. But the truth is, most people don't want to go through the process it takes to get there. Why? Because the process is hard, it's uncomfortable, it's full of setbacks, long nights, and moments where you're questioning, is this even worth it? But let me tell you something, you've got to trust the process. Trust that every step, every stumble, and every sacrifice is getting you closer to where you're supposed to be. You don't plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow. Growth takes time, and success, that takes patience, faith, and a whole lot of work. See, the process is where the magic happens. It's where you learn the lessons you'll need when you finally reach your goal. It's where you build the strength and resilience that will carry you through life's challenges. The process is not punishment, it's preparation. But I get it. Trusting the process is tough, especially when you don't see results right away. You're out here giving your all, and it feels like nothing is happening. But let me tell you something about God. He's not just working on the destination, He's working in you. He's shaping your character, testing your patience, and building your faith. Think about a diamond. You see the shine, the beauty, the value. But what you don't see is the pressure it took to create it. That diamond didn't just happen. It was formed through years of intense pressure and heat. Your process is no different. The pressure you're feeling, the struggles you're facing, they're turning you into something priceless. And here's another thing. When you rush the process, you miss out on the blessings that come with it. It's like baking a cake. If you pull it out of the oven too soon, it's not ready. It's half-baked, and it won't be what it's supposed to be. The same goes for your life. If you try to skip steps or rush God's timing, you'll end up missing out on the fullness of what He's preparing for you. Trust in the process doesn't mean you won't have doubts. It doesn't mean the road will be smooth, but it does mean you keep moving forward even when the path isn't clear. It means believing that God is in control, that He's working behind the scenes, and that every delay, every detour is part of His perfect plan. Speak life over your circumstances. Your words have power. Let me tell you something right now. Your words have power. Not just a little power, but real power. The kind of power that can shift your life, change your circumstances, and open doors you thought were closed forever. That's why you've got to learn to speak life over your circumstances, no matter how tough they seem. See, too many people speak defeat over their own lives without even realizing it. They wake up and say, I'm tired, I'm broke, or this just isn't for me. And guess what? Life starts reflecting those words. But let me ask you, why speak death over your situation when you've got the choice to speak life? You've got to remember, the tongue is small, but it's mighty. It can either tear you down or build you up. What you speak into the atmosphere is what you're inviting into your life. If you're always talking about how hard things are, that's all you'll see. But if you start speaking life, talking about hope, about possibility, about the good things to come, watch how your perspective changes. Think about this. God created the world with words. He spoke and light appeared. He spoke and the heavens and earth came into being. If His words hold that much power and you're made in His image, then why wouldn't your words carry weight too? I know life gets tough. I know there are days when it feels easier to complain, to vent, to focus on everything that's going wrong. But let me challenge you. When you're in the middle of the storm, start speaking life instead. Say, this is hard, but I'm coming out stronger. Say, I may not see it now, but my breakthrough is on the way. Speaking life doesn't mean ignoring your reality. It means refusing to let your circumstances have the final say. It means declaring that your future is brighter than your past, that you're not defined by what's happening to you, but by what's happening in you. And don't just speak life over yourself. Speak life over the people around you, your family, your friends, your coworkers. They need to hear it too. Your words could be the light in someone else's darkness, the encouragement they didn't even know they needed. Your words are seeds, but what you plant today, you'll harvest tomorrow. So if you want to see blessings, start speaking blessings. If you want to see growth, start speaking growth. Speak life, even when it feels like life isn't speaking back to you. God's love never fails, the one constant you can always count on. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had someone let you down? Maybe it was a friend, a family member, or someone you thought would always have your back. That kind of hurt cuts deep, doesn't it? But let me tell you something today. God's love never fails. Never. Not once, not ever. Life is unpredictable. People will change on you. Plans will fall apart. And some days you might feel like the whole world is against you. But there's one thing that will never, ever change, and that's the love God has for you. It's not conditional. It's not based on your mistakes or your successes. It's simply there, steady and unshakable, no matter what. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. You've been through some things, right? You've made mistakes, hurt people, maybe even walked away from God at some point, and you're sitting there thinking, how could God still love me after all that? Let me tell you, His love doesn't come with a list of requirements. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to prove yourself worthy of it, and you sure don't have to be perfect to receive it. God's love is like a safety net. No matter how far you fall, no matter how hard you hit the ground, His love is right there to catch you. It's there in your highest highs and your lowest lows. And even when you feel unlovable, when life's got you down and you're doubting your worth, God is looking at you and saying, you are mine and I will never let you go. Let me make it plain for you. Have you ever noticed how the sun rises every single morning, no matter what? It doesn't matter if yesterday was stormy or if you didn't even take the time to look at it. The sun still rises. That's what God's love is like. It shows up no matter what you've done or where you've been. But here's the kicker. God's love isn't just about comforting you. Oh, no, it's about transforming you. When you start to truly understand that His love never fails, it changes the way you see yourself. You stop looking at your flaws and failures and start seeing yourself the way He sees you, fearfully and wonderfully made, worthy of every blessing He has for you. And let me tell you, God's love is not afraid of your mess. Whatever baggage you're carrying, whatever pain you've been holding on to, His love is bigger than all of it. He's not here to judge you. He's here to heal you, to guide you, and to remind you that no matter what life throws your way, His love will never, ever fail you. Stay with me, because this love we're talking about is just the beginning of something life-changing. Let me leave you with this. No matter what you're going through, no matter how tough life gets, hold on to your faith. Believe in God. Trust in His plan. And when it feels like you're at your lowest, remember He's right there with you, lifting you up. He's always there for you, always. Never forget that.